The prevalence of traditional masculine values and norms has decreased significantly. Where do we stand? The majority of today's boys on Earth probably had an upbringing remarkably similar to mine. In a society where feminism is more prominent, a boy is born into a family where all the members are female. His mother is either the lone parent in the home or the primary provider. He spends his formative years trying to earn his mother's approval, and all of his teachers are female. Because of the widespread fear that young men would become abusive, medications and the media encourage them to adopt more feminine traits. If he does not have any positive male role models in his life by the time he enters adolescence, he should treat women the same way he did his mother and teachers when he was younger, with respect and deference, as they are more experienced and knowledgeable than he is. Is it feasible for an adult to establish meaningful, long-lasting relationships, something he won't be able to do until he enters the manosphere? Even though his guides still hold the view that women should be subservient, he is more likely to find out the reality about women because of this. So why is anyone surprised by the book's commercial success? Here are some tips from the book that is now the most popular in the English language on how to be more dominant in your relationships. The Crimson Tablet has an unusual taste that can give some folks the willies. If you're trying to pick up a woman, the woman you're with is probably shorter than you are. Men with a greater height gain an automatic advantage. The fact that most men are much taller than most women is a deal-breaker for many ladies. Pretending to be the tall, dark, and handsome man will be challenging. Reaching this goal based on height alone is extremely difficult, but not impossible if you are not taller than the woman you are trying to woo. Many taller men experience the so-called better slump, because they wrongly assume that women are more attracted to males who appear to be incapable of harming them, the blue pill fallacy. You should attempt not to look around but rather stand as tall as you can, as if a cord were pulling you up from the crown of your head. This will boost your self-assurance at a time when you know you can't keep a cool head under pressure or make eye contact. In addition, remember to always keep your shoulders back when in a social or professional setting as a lady. Since you can't decide what to do with your hands, you might as well cut them off and be done with it. Put them in your pockets to give the impression that you are not in contrition. Think of your chest, shoulders, and arms as two flashlights that must always be on display in order to move around in the dark. These areas are effective at attracting and maintaining the attention of women. One of the most crucial precautions to take when slowing down is to keep eye contact with the person in front of you. If you are with her in a crowded area, take her hand and lead the way. In social situations, take control by placing a possessive hand on her arm and guiding her talk with her elbow, back, or shoulder. Just make sure you get the last word. This is much more difficult than just learning to speak without using your hands. Women rarely know how they truly feel until they share their thoughts and emotions with another person, making the sound of their conversation one of the most attractive sounds there is. Because of this, the female social network is crucial. The majority of women benefit from talking too much for the same reason that the dominant vocal type is possible: silence. A man who talks a lot is probably not appealing, at least in a woman's eyes, unless he has a lot of charisma and knows how to entertain with his words. These individuals give off the vibe of a more grave mistake. Although this has some understandable causes, especially when considering our ancestors, the issue is much broader than the Internet. Whether or not women are present, a gathering of men causes significant shifts in the social and linguistic norms of the group. Speaking styles that are more common among men can be easily distinguished from those more common among women. Irrespective of whether they realize it or not, men artists often try to one-up each other in order to attract the attention and interest of female listeners. It is crucial to plan out your means of interaction with the other party before beginning. Let's all take a breath and think before we start talking. It's impolite to cut someone off in the middle of their sentence. Taking a breather before diving into a conversation not only gives the other person time to fully process what you're about to say, but it also gives you the idea that you've given some thought to what you're about to say. Your second wife is the kind of person who will only raise her voice if absolutely necessary. You have to prove to everyone that you are the best by taking the lead. Don't interrupt her until she's finished talking to be sure she has nothing else to add. Don't let her out of your sight while you're talking to me, and keep an eye on her at all times. I have to say, the way you move your eyes is very threatening. It's definitely an alpha action. That's why it seems sensible that anytime she looks at you, she would feel a twinge of discomfort and would, as a result, naturally avert her gaze. As a fourth tip, Try speaking slowly and softly so that she has to lean in closer to you to hear you if the conversation is becoming too emotionally charged. If the discussion starts to grow too heated, you will exit the conversation. This will make it clear to others that they must obey your verbal commands, and you will find yourself needing their approval only rarely.
You tell her what's going on first, and then you let her decide if she wants to do anything about it.
You can bring it up if she has a different opinion, but it's better if you don't make any plans and let her make the first move if she wants to. Since you can tell her exactly what you plan to do in the future, you may easily assume a position of leadership within any organization. Because we women were so preoccupied with our own success, men sometimes failed to recognize that we view the world through a different prism than they do. We passed up several chances to prove ourselves in group settings, but she'll start to feel envious of you when you take charge of a big charity event, like organizing the Cub Scout parade float, getting recognized by your church, or being introduced as the new boss to the volunteers at the PTSA auction. This could be due to the fact that she rarely if ever sees you at the office, where you can advertise your superiority and influence. She is pleased that she can benefit from your societal preeminence and that the community is able to help in a substantial way. If you want to be dominant, you can't only do it in your spare time or at home. You have to show it everywhere you go. If you're having problems establishing your authority at work, joining a local organization is a great alternative. The habits you have developed and the quantity of physical space you require are not the only things to think about. This includes your overall demeanor and the things you choose to wear. There's no point in getting dressed if you're just going to hit someone in the face for no reason. You try to impress her, but all she sees is a total dork. You can wow her with your well-groomed beard, hair, nails, shoes, belt, etc.
Even if there is only one other person in the room.
On top of that, if you want to be seen as a leader, you'll need to take the initiative and lead the charge in this effort. If it seems natural, you should walk ahead of her and offer your arm to steady her. Doing so is highly recommended. It's best to be near the front of the group rather than at the very back. You shouldn't worry unless you happen to be in the middle of a small group of people engaged in a casual conversation. In that case, it's best to go to a place where you can be seen easily. If your fly is down, situational dominance demands that you convince them the tiger is too dangerous to keep in a zoo. If you're put in a leadership role, you'll have the opportunity to show your worth by coping effectively with pressure. It's not shocking that no one is an expert in every field. However, don't be bashful about telling the world that you're the best at what you do. Number 6. Own up to your bedroom behavior. The passageways lead to the red pill. Identify as a term for power and command. Spending a week honing your offer is the best way to determine its viability, and afterward, experts advise getting more sleep to keep up a healthy level of energy. All of your alpha stocks will be forfeited if your call is not cut short in a timely way. When she turns to you for guidance, you know you're in over your head. You need not get her approval before taking the lead.
As long as your expectations are clear, it is acceptable to assume that she will comply with them.
Assuming she can meet its standards, she should be overjoyed. We have completed our travels for the day now.